I don't know about you guys, but I spent years of my business hiding. And I don't mean literally, I mean posting on social media and then deleting it an hour later and not putting my face on my brand. I was undercharging because I didn't want to be seen. I was collecting videos on my phone and I never came around to posting it. And I was afraid that if I got too visible or too successful or too loud, something bad would happen. And the crazy thing is, it wasn't until I did shadow work and I worked on my subconscious mind that I realized that this fear of being seen is not even really a valid fear. It was a protection that I built when I was little, and it's something that I've been carrying with me over the years. And I carry it into my life right now as a business owner, into every face-to-face presentation or a live Zoom call, or every time I launch and every time I hit post. Hey, I'm Jovelyn. I'm a business mindset coach and hypnotherapist. And today we're going to go somewhere where most business coaches don't go, and that's into the shadow. Because here's the thing. I've shown you all these techniques about feng shuiing your office and doing all these daily affirmations. And you can collect all of the certifications and you can write all the business plans. But if there's a part of you that's really terrified of actually being seen, you're never going to do anything about it because the shadow, or what we call your subconscious programming, runs deep. So what actually is the fear of being seen? Look, some women mistake it as shyness, or they blame themselves for being an introvert. But it's a lot deeper than that. It's like this deep physical resistance within your body. That deep resistance of being seen or being in the light. Now, it usually shows up when you're afraid to put yourself out there on social media, or you're afraid to promote your business, or maybe it will show up when you're about to launch your course, or when someone asks you what you charge, or when someone invites you to speak on a podcast or to speak at an event. And for female entrepreneurs especially, we feel it more than others. And it may be because we grew up in a society or a family that had all these rules. Don't brag about yourself, or you're talking too loud, or you talk too much. Be nice, don't overdress, be humble. If you're a woman of color, or if you're an eldest daughter, or if you grew up in a culture that values how your family is perceived within society, you might as well just multiply it by 10. Now, there's a concept about our shadow self. Everyone has a shadow. Carl Jung, a famous psychiatrist, described it as a part of ourselves that we've basically just pushed away. Maybe it's our qualities and desires and expressions that we learned were unacceptable. Now, for a lot of us, especially women in business, we were told what was right and what wasn't right. And now we generally have brought this fear on into our current life as a woman entrepreneur. And now we have this fear of being visible. We're afraid to step out into the light because people may judge us and criticize us. So this beautiful soul who wants to shine her light, we end up pushing away. And we pushed her away because at some point in our childhood, we got this message that being visible was wrong and it would open us up to criticism. And look, you may have experienced being shamed for speaking up in class. Or you might have wanted to express yourself as growing up. You wanted to wear clothes that you wanted to wear. You wanted to adorn yourself with jewelry, but your parents didn't want you to go out looking like that. I'm sure you've heard that all before. Maybe you outperformed your siblings and your parents told you to let them shine instead of you. Maybe you were praised for being the easy one, or the quiet one, or the nice one, or the one who just didn't cause any trouble. And now you're trying to run a business And this requires you to be visible, right? Constantly. But that shadow or that younger version of you is still operating from that old programming. Don't stand out. Don't be too much. Stay safe. Stay hidden. And unfortunately, that's the inner conflict that we're dealing with. Your adult self knows that you want to scale, you want to grow your business, and you need to do it by being out there and telling everyone about your products and services. But your shadow self is trying to protect you from being seen. So how do you know if you have this visibility wound? Let me give you a few examples or signs that you might find within your business in this current moment, and it might feel familiar to you. Look, you might have found the courage to post something powerful on social media. But then you find that you freak out, and then an hour later you end up deleting it, even when people are engaging with the post, and even when they think that it's good. And you delete it because you're afraid of what others may think. You've been about to start your YouTube channel or your podcast or your live video. You've been wanting to start it for months now. It could be 6 months or a year or even longer. But there's always something that you have to perfect first before you launch. When clients ask you for your price, you either get tongue-tied or you over-explain the reason why you're charging that amount, or you might feel a wave of embarrassment. Your face goes red and you just hate saying the price out loud. You're brilliant at promoting all other people's products. You'll talk about your friend's launch. You'll promote your mentor's programs so easily, right? But when it comes to promoting your own business and yourself, what do? You shy away. And you don't even tell anyone that, one, you're doing a business in the first place, and two, you've got products and services that could help them. Because you're afraid to be seen as one of those people, because they might see you as greedy or manipulative. Or 5, after a big win, maybe you hit this huge milestone, or you successfully helped your client achieve their goals and then you feel depressed, like success is bad. Ladies, if you can relate to any of these, don't think that you're a fool or you're stupid or you're the kind of person who just can't be visible, because that's really your shadow self protecting you. But I can guarantee you, if you ladies just keep going on like this, it's going to cost you. And it's not just going to cost you emotionally, it's going to cost you financially. And it's going to cost you your time if you don't overcome this. And every time you don't post, or you don't pitch, or you don't charge what you're worth, you're leaving money on the table. The fear of being seen is quite literally costing you your income. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to walk you through a shadow work practice. Look, it's not going to be heavy or intimidating. It's going to be really gentle, but it's a practice that I used for myself to help me get through this fear myself. And it works. So if you're watching this in a public place, or if you're listening to this in the car, make sure you come back to it later when you can be alone with a journal. And if you're at home right now, grab yourself a journal or notebook and let's get into this exercise. So step 1, I'd like you to close your eyes for a moment and take 5 deep breaths through the nose and out of the mouth. And I want you to remember maybe a recent moment where you held yourself back, where you wanted to be visible, but you were too afraid to do so. Maybe you wanted to post a video and you never got around to pressing the publish button. Or maybe someone asked you for your price and you never got around to quoting them. Or you might have wanted to publish a post on Instagram, but it's now sitting there as a draft. Think of a moment that you've recently experienced. Okay, got it? Now open your eyes and I want you to write down, what was I afraid would happen if I was seen in that moment? So what were you afraid of would happen if you had posted that post or posted that video or given someone your price or even quoted your price to a client, a potential client? So don't edit whatever comes to mind. Don't try to make it sound smart. You want your answer to be very honest, okay? And it could be like, people would think I'm a fraud, or my family would judge me, or I might get trolled. Doesn't matter what it is, just write it down and really be honest, exactly as it comes. Okay, step number 2, when you're done with that, ask yourself a deeper question. And this is where the shadow work actually begins. When did I first learn that being visible was unsafe? Go back and think of your earliest memory that you can find, where you showed up, where you got shut down, where you were shamed, you were ignored, you were punished. Okay, think back as far as you can. And if you have heaps of memories that are popping up, write that all down too, because they all accumulate, right? They add to the situation and the feelings that you're feeling now. So write it all down. Now for me, for example, I'll share mine. When I was at school, I used to get into so much trouble from my mum for talking too much, for being too opinionated or too loud. And I remember I used to be so scared when the report card would come out. Because if at any time any of my teachers would write, Jovelyn has got potential, but she talks too much, I would always get in trouble. I'd get into so much trouble. And I learned over the years, every time I got my report card, that I couldn't be myself. I couldn't be unique. I couldn't be the outgoing person, the friendly person who has all these friends, because it would always get me in trouble. So what tended to happen was I got quiet. I became an introvert and I got what they called shyness, right? And over a few years, I was an introvert, which was quite weird, right? And it wasn't who I was. And it was only when I hit year 11 and 12 when I met these amazing group of friends who allowed me to be true to who I was, that my true self started to come out. But then that doesn't necessarily mean that any of the fear that I felt back then didn't carry over into my adulthood. Years later, when I needed to show up for my business, that same teenager was still running the show. I was still afraid to come out of my shell. So for you, make sure you write down that memory, even if you think it's small, or even if you think that it's no big deal, or if your body tightens when you remember it, it is a big deal, and the body keeps score. Step number 3. Now this is the integration piece. Write a letter to that younger version of you, and in the letter, I want you to say 3 things. First, I want you to thank her. She protected you all this time. And she developed this incredible survival mechanism that kept you safe when you were small and didn't have the power to protect yourself. So she did her job beautifully. Second, I want you to tell her that you're not that age anymore. You're now an adult. You have the resources, you have the education, you've got the support, your friends, your partner. Everyone's there to support you. You have a voice now. And the danger that she was protecting you from all those years, whether it was that teacher, for me it was that parent, or that bully, they're not in the room when you hit post. And thirdly, I want you to give her permission to rest. So say something like, I'm taking it from here. You don't have to carry this anymore. And I can be visible now. And I can keep her safe at the same time. So this shadow work might bring up some emotions and it might make you feel deeply emotional. So just allow it to do so. The shadow doesn't need to be fought or fixed or healed into some perfect way. It just needs to be seen. And that's the whole paradox. The fear of being seen heals by being seen. By you first. So if this is landing for you, or if you've realized that maybe the reason that you've been stuck isn't strategy, it's shadow, then hit that like button. It actually helps more women find this work. And from the conversations that I've had, there are so many of us out there carrying this. And if you want to go deeper, I do offer one-on-one breakthrough calls to clear these exact blocks. And we can rewire your subconscious patterns, keeping you invisible in 30 days. So the link's in the description below. I'd love to hear from you in the comments what came up for you during this exercise. What was the memory that surfaced? Write it in the comments below. It's powerful to name these things out loud. Thank you for watching, ladies. And remember, you're not hiding because you're weak. You're hiding because you're protecting yourself. And now you've got to decide if you still need that protection. And you never want to get to the end of your life regretting all the things that you didn't do. So until we meet again, ladies, live wild, live free, wild woman run free. See you in my next video.